a point up at Stockport and a win against West Ham Youth since last we spoke has got the Royals semi-rolling in the heat, really. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. We've got two positive results to talk about. Ross is in the meditation room.
Hello.
This is episode 433 of your Tilehurst podcast. Ross, why are you in the meditation room? Like, why are you not at home?
Well, I've got a coach in less than 2 hours now. I've got to go over and running a futsal session today. Which did you ever play futsal when you were younger with the
No.
smaller ball? Okay, so smaller ball. It's got kind of like a weight inside of it, so it drops very quickly. I love this game for kiddos because they slam it. They play it on a basketball court, right? And they slam into that ground so hard. They just get up like nothing's ever happened. So great game for teaching them toughness. So futsal,
Mm.
well liked by the Brazilians, well liked by youth coaches.
Well, listen, our youngsters had to be tough last night.
Indeed,
3-1 win against West
indeed.
Ham. So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into well, was it well and I mean it's a great result up at Stockport. You know, whichever way you spin it, we can talk about the performances as well. Big thanks to the Amazons who
Mm.
have given us their theme song. No, not
Always
their
big
theme
thanks.
tune.
Well,
They've
it could be. You never know. Like, but I guess bands don't have a theme song really, but
no, they
they
don't.
have things coming on while they like. Oftentimes, like I remember Biffy Clyro used to put on like a "Go Down to the River" song on every time before they came on. But I suppose it would be a bit weird if the Amazons literally played one of their songs over the tannoy and then came out to play music. That might not quite work.
Yeah, well, listen, they've given us a song to use. We're very grateful for that, and of course, Voldemar and ZC Films, who have just embarked. He's just embarked on his three-part epic. I think the second. Oh no, hold on. What are we on? The first October. So I think the first one,
Yeah,
Art's Most. I think it might have been the naughty spicy one last night.
I think it was.
That was out yesterday on Sky Art. So yeah, you go and check that out.
He's
And he
also
writes
got a
he writes a lot.
podcast, by the way. I'm just keeping you
Yes.
apprised because Waldy's a big Blue Sky guy like me, and he's also got a podcast that's quite popular on art, which is yeah, worth checking out. So yeah, go check that out too. I think it's called Waldy and someone else, but I can't remember. If you go search ZCZ Films, you'll find it.
Well, the second best duo associated with the Tylers, then put it that way. After
Yeah.
after me and you, we're going to get straight into it in the recap. Stockport County away. Let's go. Right. Ooh. Where do we start?
Where do we
Good,
start?
good result. Really good result.
Yeah, I think so.
Indifferent performance, I would say. I think there are still issues. You know, I'll read you a quote after the game. I'll just get that up because I think it's important to be clear about where we
What
are.
is a quote and what's not? He's pulling the quote up right now.
Uh, Good result, but we can't keep going like this. No style, no excitement. Main players aren't performing. Attendance is dropping. We'll lose to worse teams playing like that today. Do you know who said that?
I have a feeling you said that.
I said that. That was
Yes.
me, literally an hour after the game. And I got killed for it. Literally, people going after me.
Yeah.
Oh, stop being negative. Enjoy your Saturday evening. I did.
Yeah.
Oh, does it get tiring being so miserable? Um, yeah, like no one liked it. But
No.
listen, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm still at with the performance. Where are you at, Ross?
I thought that this was a really interesting, well, semi-interesting game of two halves, and that Reading were exceptionally poor in the first half, and so I mean that really tells in everything. They had two shots, one on target in the first, to Stockport's nine. Stockport had over a goal in expected goals in the first half alone. Reading managed 0.03. So again, it was kind of like another slow start in this one, and then something going on there as to why the players aren't coming out of the locker room, truly like fired up and ready to go for sure. The second half a little bit better. A little bit better. Reading dominated possession in the second half, and really, they had a few decent moments. They had a decent moment coming right out of the tunnel. So, nuts to what I just said about getting the team ready to go. out of the tunnel. They did it in the second half. But the time when things really changed for me was when Matt Ritchie came on again. And the way that I saw it described by someone online was it was like an adult had come onto the pitch. And so Matt Ritchie, what he gives you as well as like him as a footballer is he just seems to know what everyone's assignment is supposed to be on the field, as well as, like what his own thing to do is. And I think that that's not necessarily coming from Noel. I think that's coming from countless managers that players like Matt Ritchie have gone through. We have, been really complimentary about Des Williams and talked about how he's come into the team and suddenly done, pretty well. A man who's been through lots and lots of managers, as well. Jack Marriott's come into the team, done pretty well. A man who's been through lots of different managers. And it's funny how you get in a few players that have that little bit of experience about where they should be going to, where they should be running to. Suddenly we look a little bit better. But I don't think that that's necessarily coming from Noel. I know that that sounds incredibly negative or harsh, but I think that the fact that you can tell, I think that the fact that a lot of our impetus this season is coming from the older players who have had a lot of experiences before in League One suggests that they're doing it off their own impetus rather than something that's coming from the coaching team. And the way that I would back that statement up is I would ask you, Ben, can you tell me a young player at Reading who has gotten better since Noah Hunt came in?
I cannot.
And I think Ashkar Ahmed would be the obvious one to go to. But let's go through some of the young.
He's not been consistently good, though, has he? And he's struggled of late, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I thought he was better against Stockport than he was in some previous games. I thought this was, well, he didn't play against Stockport, so that tells you, nonsense. So he wasn't good against Stockport. So yeah, Ashkar Ahmed came in for a little bit and has had some struggles doing some things that you would expect youth players, making mistakes that you would expect youth players to make. But still, Kelvin Abrafa, has he gotten better since Noah Hunt came in? Has Michael Stickland got better? Has Ben Elliott got better? I think you could argue Charlie Savage has got better, but again, I think that Charlie Savage had played a lot of football.
Yeah, I think with Charlie, it's the trust element. That there is a connection there. You could have argued that Jaden Wareham was getting better under Noel Hunt because he was given he had to play because of no one else to play. But there was a slight improvement and an upturn in his overall performances.
Agree.
I think it's a fair point. You could probably look at Dorset maybe, but then he had long periods of injury. So yeah, it's a really, really good question.
My concern is that like I said, my concern is that basically the structures and the things that are actually happening are not necessarily working, and the stuff that is working is what's coming from experienced players who have had other managers who have shown them things that work.
It's a really, really good point. And my concern and what I was, trying to get across was that I don't see these performances getting better. Yeah, we are picking up results and, but as you said, I think that's in spite of the manager. I don't think this is a situation where he's setting them up. There was a 4-2-3-1 system in place on Saturday. I think
briefly at times we kind of saw it, like it wasn't as prominent as we saw during the Wrexham game, I think, which was a little bit disappointing because they actually came out well against Wrexham. You thought maybe the way to continue that would be to stick Kamari Dor straight back into that 10 slot and go for it.
I think Lewis Wing and Charlie Savage both had better games. Savage was key in the goal in terms of zipping that ball across field to Lord Ritchie, whose cushion and control was exceptional. He came on in the 70th minute and we scored in the 72nd. Jack Marriott with a wonderful finish, who could well turn it into one of our better strikers of modern times, really. But the balance of the team still isn't right. The connections still aren't there. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of confidence, throughout the team, even though these results are starting to come. And that, that kind of narrative will bleed into to us talking about the West Ham game in a minute. But I mean, did we deserve the draw overall on the balance of play, or do you think we were fortunate to get out of Greater Manchester with the point?
That's a really, really great question. I think that Pereira made some good saves, especially early on. I don't think that Stockport were incredible, and I think that they're still going through some sort of playoff hangover pains or whatever at the end of last season. But yeah, it's difficult to know really just how this. I just don't really know where this is in terms of performance now because it does feel very, like I do think we're getting a little bit better at hanging on in games. I think it's worth saying that, we didn't have Des Williams and it wasn't awful without him, but it didn't look as good. We conceded more XG and without Pereira really coming through as he has in the last few weeks, then this could have been a tricky one. That's actually worth saying real quick. Joel Pereira started the season not quite in the extremely hot form that he was all of last season. That's ended now. Pereira's back to being Pereira. He is now already ahead of his expected goals allowed through the season. And he added another 0.73 to his total during this game. So yeah, Pereira made four decent saves in this game. So I think that we may have deserved a draw for that second half performance because it was a lot better. But I don't think we would have deserved much more than that. But again, like we both thought that we'd lose this game going into it. Stockport have been a real bogey team for Reading through the last few years. So the fact that we didn't lose is, positive. And I mean, like any positive momentum right now is good, but it does feel like the performances need to come with the results as well. And more importantly, we need to start being able to play a full 90 minutes of decent complementary football. Like I'm not saying that the team needs to be able to run like crazy and press and do every single thing athletically for 90 minutes. No team does that, but we just go through these periods whereby when we're maybe not deciding to play with the ball as much or when we're willing to let the other team have the ball, we look so passive for such long stretches of the game. And if we're abdicating control of 45 minutes and then we have only a little bit of time to actually score goals, we're going to score fewer goals. So I think we just need to be a bit more expansive and a bit more brave. Yeah, because we have the players as we have shown in the last few days.
I mean, we've lost one game in the last six in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we not happy?
It's tough to say, isn't it? Because, I can understand. Like, if you look at just the results, they are somewhat improving. I think we got really good, and we'll get into the mailbag later, obviously. But I think you look at kind of like the pieces to come back and who we have to come back, and how much better this team could get. In inverted commas. And at this point, I think it's really only like Porty O'Connor that we could have back that we feel that would, and Des Williams, obviously, that could make a difference, though you might not end up playing two. Well, I guess Porty O'Connor's not in his 30s yet. But anyway, I digress. I think that it's the performances again and the fact that Noel has not had not much time. Okay, that's a thing we need to dispel. Noel's had 47, 48 games now as Reading manager. It's been a while that he's been, at the club. He's been at the club longer than some managers from recent years, and he's had time to develop some sort of structure, and that isn't something that we've seen. And again, just kind of thinking about it's old players, that goal, I really liked that goal that Marriott scored against Stockport. Great goal.
It's probably the best team goal we've scored this season, I think.
It's a piece of but the actual we've delivered. The first half of that move has happened a lot of times this season where we deliver the ball into the final third down near the corner flag, and we have a chance to cross or something. But it's the fact that it's Richie's decision making there and his experience and Marriott's experience that got us that goal. It's not to do with our setup or anything like that. What got us the goal there was Richie playing fast because he knows that's the best way to do it there and just bundling it into the area as quickly as he can. And Marriott correctly identified that if he ran, a few yards off his striker into the box first, he was going to get ahead of him for the shot. It's two savvy older players just knowing what beats defenses, basically. It's and like I say, it's a situation we've gotten ourselves into a lot of times before. So I think when you're winning your goals again through individual or like, you know, two or three individuals making a really good play. It just doesn't feel like a thing that we can repeat. So yeah, again, it's looking for repeatable successes rather than just, you know, one-offs and things like that.
I mean, two players that we probably do need to talk about really, Kamari Doyle and Paddy Lane, have not, shall we say, set the world alight in RG2 since coming in. We've seen flashes, I suppose, but nothing consistent from either of them. Is that because of, you know, obviously Paddy Lane was injured for a little while. Kamari Doyle has kind of been in and out of the team and sub appearances here and there and a few starts. Is that because they've not been given the opportunities or allowed to, you know, be regular call-ons in terms of starters? Or is it just that they are not up to speed in terms of the way that Noel wants them to play and whichever he wants them to play, which, you know, we're still scratching our heads as to know what that
That's
looks
what
like,
that
really.
is. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, that's a really good question. I think Lane has been okay. I think that he's clearly been hampered by injuries. I think that goal that he scored that won us the game against Port Vale is worth you know, remembering. I did think that was pretty good. But he's been quiet and he's been, you know, it's been way too easy to knock him off the ball so far. That's been a big complaint I've had about him. I think he had something like 5 or 6 ground duels in the first half against Stockport, and he lost all but one of them. I think he won one free kick in one of them too. If you look at his player traits chart right now on FOTMAB, what you're going to see is a guy who's getting next to no touches. He's making next to no defensive contributions, and so it's a little black holey on the field right now. And again, like I don't think that he can't do a good job because I think that we've seen that he has skill. In the first few games that he came in, he looked pretty exciting, but I just, you know, this formation, this whatever it is, this system doesn't, you know, help him necessarily. He spends a lot of time just sitting in that mid block, chasing way out wide. And you know, if the other team doesn't target his side, then he very well may not get the ball at all. He's been being used mostly to counter attack, and that's not how he was playing with Portsmouth in the season where he was really successful. Right, he was being passed to with an opportunity to run to the box, run into the box, and like, you know, create chances and things like that. He wasn't being passed to on his side of the halfway line with his back to goal and then having to find a way around the defender. So I mean, like, this is the thing, like, you bring players in, you need to use them in ways that they can actually benefit from. And we've talked about this sort of counter-attacking, this, you know, apparent happiness to counter-attack that Noel has. I think Lane is one of the players that's struggling with that. Kamari Doyle is a little bit different. I think Doyle, I wonder what he's like in training, because he's got that sort of languid look about him, you know, a little bit of an Alan Halilovic, if you will, not quite that crazy. But I wonder what he's like in training and whether he's just one of those guys that he could be one of those guys in training that gives the manager reasons not to pick him. I don't really know. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, it's like an extra 2 seconds you're mucking around when you should be doing a drill, or like, you know, like you showed up maybe not late for the film room thing, but, you know, right on time, like, rather than like all the
You
guys that
weren't,
are
you
there
weren't
five
quite
minutes in.
prepared for it.
I'm talking absolute nonsense right now out of my behind. But like, I just think it's very odd because I think Kamari Doyle, when he's come on, has shown flashes of,
Mm.
so like you said, some pretty good stuff. But no, doesn't seem to like him outside of the cup games and way too late into league games to make a difference. So yeah, which is very interesting because I think that during that Wrexham game, when we played the 4-2-3-1 for you know, a little while, that was when Reading looked at some of their most creative they have all season. So, and Kamari Doyle was a 10 there. So I think he should have gotten a little bit
Yeah.
more. But with Lane, I think it's because the way in which we're playing does not suit the kind of player that he is.
Let's talk about the 3-1 win against West Ham in the Virtue Tesco Club Card Just Eat Snickers Trophy, or whatever it's
Get
called this
Lucasade
week.
in there. Get
Lucasade,
Lucasade.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Only one place to start really, and that's Marco Mani on
I
the
thought you were going to
score
say
sheet.
Big Ben on the comms.
Nah,
Ben on the comms.
what was funny is that people kept texting in to the number or
Hmm.
WhatsApp, not texting, WhatsApp, and they were just from all over the world. And Ross reminded me while I was on that it's an international service. So why would they
Yeah.
not be from like Wellington in New Zealand or,
It did crack me up when
you know,
you guys repeatedly returned to that. You're like, oh, they're from all over the place. What's even going on?
yeah,
Right,
someone
so
from
you're on a
Israel,
service that's
Cyprus.
mostly subscribed to by people who live outside of the country. You
Yeah,
know,
and then
like
Abby, bless her, from Chipton. She's like, yeah, I'm from Sander. So all right, pipe down. That's enough out
nice.
of you, thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. It was a weird atmosphere. The shop was shut, which is not a
Did look
killer,
odd.
but it's just a bit odd. There was no buses.
It looked like a COVID game.
Yeah, there was. It was just really odd. Like there wasn't. There was very few people. I'd probably go so far as to say it was probably the least attended competitive game I've been to, possibly ever.
Okay,
If you
yeah.
take out the under 21s, it's the first team fixture last night, right? So it should be the first team in inverted commas playing. There was bats flying around. It was just really odd,
How many
really, really
people,
odd.
how many fans do you think were there? Like less than 100?
What Reading fans?
Yeah.
I would be gobsmacked, and I couldn't quite see from where I was, but maybe 1,000 Reading fans.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's a few more than 100. Were there any West Ham fans there?
Yeah, they had kind of almost sort of a third of the stand to the right
Okay.
hand side, but there's a lot of West Ham fans that live in Reading, so it's a good opportunity
Yeah,
to see
exactly.
Tomas Soucek and so some of the players were good. Like they
Yeah.
had a guy called Kante who was really really good in the game, number 55, I think he was. It was good to I say get through, but get the win in the group, and it builds nicely for the game on Tuesday against MK Dons. But Mark Amani really was kind of the I say the key to all of it. He scored one, set up another one. He kind of just sparkled to life after that goal, and after 2 months of almost 2 months of looking for a goal, he finally got one.
Yeah.
I guess really the question is, can he kick on from here? And
Hmm.
can he really start to net a few more to really build the confidence and ultimately get the fans back on side? I think some of the criticism, well, I would say that because I'm slightly biased, but I think some of the criticism that we've passed his way has been valid. I think there's been a lot of other comments and, concerns around his overall ability that have been valid as well. But do you think he can use this as a springboard to get moving?
Yeah, obviously, like his goal last night was a penalty, and an emphatic one. He
Ah,
really he hit
you
that
don't
thing.
stop him. You don't stop
Which,
him.
oh, and by the way, real quick, because I will go on, I'm going to talk Mark Marnie any second, but both of those penalties last night, I mean, what on earth?
Soft.
Neither of them are penalties.
They were
Like,
sending off as well. I was
the
like, I mean,
first one,
if it's
yeah,
the other way around, you're kicking something, aren't
my
you?
head would be on Mars. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly. As the
honestly,
kids
I
would
looked
say.
at that and I was like, that's not even a foul. Like, let
Yeah.
alone a penalty and a red. I'm like, my word. Anyway, yeah, I just enjoyed the right reaction of the West Ham player when the ref gave the penalty, who just basically went, "Oh my God," ref." He just couldn't quite believe what was happening at that point with the second penalty. Which is very funny. Anyway, Marco Mani. Yeah, worth remembering that his goal was a penalty, but you are 100% correct that he sparkled to life in the 7 minutes that were remaining after he scored his goal, or 13 or however many injury time minutes there were. The thing that I found much more exciting though was the assist. That was a lovely piece of play from Marco Mani, and a few things going on there. One, Mark, what are you doing there on the field? I didn't know that you're comfortable operating there. Two, Mark, I didn't know you had that right foot on you. Like
Yeah.
that ball to Okine Peters is perfect. Like it's curling through the seam, it's curling away from the defender, it's onto his chest, dropping nicely. Like and it's funny what confidence does to players, right? Like
Yeah.
I know it's such a cliche in football, but like as someone who plays football like multiple times a week, like it is true. Like once you find your confidence and you find your rhythm, suddenly everything just kind of feels like it's dropping for you. And it's not, obviously, it's just that you're doing a better job of interpreting the bounce of everything, all that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, I think you summed it up best on the commentary last night by just kind of hoping that this would be a springboard for him moving forward. And I really hope it is. is, because he's applied himself, even if he hasn't had the results that we would like and that he would like yet. But yeah, I think the thing that I found encouraging was the assist, because it was a piece of quick decision making that showed some real skill, with his footwork. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, it would only help Reading if Marco Mani can, pick up some form. So yeah, more power to him, and yeah, glad he got his first goal involvements last night.
I mean, another player that's really starting to gain traction at the moment is Jacob Borgny. He started in the game, the under 21s game on Friday night at the SCL against Newcastle, scored in that game as well, and made his not technically, I'm talking about, it was his first team debut last night. Scored a goal as well,
Yeah.
poacher's goal for a centre back. Kind of slid it in at the back post. He had an all right game really. Next to Big Michael in the middle. Do you? Are we in a situation where we might be getting a little bit carried away on this pod? But do you think he's pushing for involvement in the first team squad?
No. And I'm sorry, that was
All right,
very like
great. Next
sudden. Yeah,
question.
no. Next question. Yeah, no, good question. Perfectly fine question. U21 football is a very, very different thing from men's football. And West Ham last night in the second half were terrible. Like I fire their manager. He was awful. They set up in a once they lost their man, they set up in a 4-4-1, but their one just kept drifting back into the midfield or just chasing the ball all over the place. So they never had any out ball. So all night, all they could do is shunt the ball out wide for a little bit, or in the second half, shunt the ball out wide, get the ball taken off them by one of the wingers, and then follow it around while they got recycled. Now, Reading were not great either. You were very upset on the comms until about 5 minutes before the end, as I remember, because Reading weren't that good in the second half either. There wasn't much rhythm to how they were playing. I did think that there are quite a few guys in that U21 team who know their way around a set piece, and some of the set pieces that were delivered into the box were really dangerous. Obviously, the Borgny goal came from a set piece, I believe, which would explain why he was so far up the pitch at that back post anyway. So there's some good stuff going on there. But yeah, no, I don't think Borgny is ready yet, and I think we've seen that with Stickland too, which again I partially now wondering if it's a little bit of a Noel Hunt thing with Stickland, just because Abrafa also seems to have gone backwards defensively over the last 6 months or so. But I just think what we've learned from the Stickland thing is that, look, we're a club with resources now. We don't have to shove these young players in if we don't want to, if we have a good option elsewhere. Obviously Des and Porty are injured right now, but I think that would mean that Stickland would be the one that comes in, not necessarily, or Jacob or Dorset, comes in, not necessarily Borkney. So I would leave him with the U21s and let him play. We have the ability to loan players out now, do that.
It's an interesting group now, really, because we play MK Dons next Tuesday in the final game in the Southern Group D section of this particular trophy.
Yep.
You would imagine that we beat MK Dons and we would go through either first or second in the group. These games, I think, are really important for the development of these youth players, because it gives them an opportunity to play competitive games, different stadiums, in front of, all right, sparse crowd last night. But you'd imagine if we progress in the competition that the fans will come back and support the team a little bit in this particular competition here. But, there were fundamental issues, I think, with individuals in the game. And I was frustrated, certainly in the first half, because I don't think a lot of those people, all those players, really were able to to stake a claim for a first team berth on Saturday and moving forward. So, there are green shoots, but it just goes back to what we were saying about the
They played
performances in
in.
general and the way the team's set up.
Sorry, real quick, talking about the team setup. They played in a 4-2-3-1 last night. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Which I thought, yeah, again, like it kind of like speaks to a lot of people say like people talking about with Man U right now because Amarim's obviously 2 days away from getting sacked.
Yeah, sure.
But people say like just when you come into a new team, the thing to do is like stick it in 4-2-3-1 and just like let the players do their thing. It's a good example of why how that doesn't always work, you know.
Mm.
It's not, not as simple as that necessarily, and you do need a play style as much as you need like a formation or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, onwards and upwards. Two home games coming up on the trot. Mansfield at home in the league on Saturday, and then back at the SCL on Tuesday. 7 o'clock kickoff against MK Dons. We will have a little look at the mailbag. This is episode 433 of the Tilehurst podcast with Ben and Ross. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to episode 433 of the Tilehurst podcast.
I
We
moved back
start,
into a chair and a little
yeah,
bit. My
Ross.
back was hurting. This is for you listeners so that I can take your questions in and, dismiss them offhand from a more comfortable position.
You look like you're about to appear on like CBB's bedtime stories or something.
I do,
What
don't I? Or
what story are you
Mastermind.
going to read?
One
Yeah.
or two.
We're going to start with Tom Hill. Dear sweet Tom Hill,
Dear sweet
thoughts on the
Tom.
Stockport away terrace. I want you to shut your face, Tom. You know that neither of us went. So why are you
Yeah.
asking that question?
Shut up, Tom. Just trying
Just
to
shut
point
up,
out that we're a
Tom.
bunch of plastics. Basically. I don't know. Ask Sim.
Well, he's literally chipped in and gone, good luck getting Ben to answer any question about an away game. You can shut up as well. I'll
Yeah,
take you all on.
jeez. Can't get Tom to a home game, let alone an away game. Oh, I live in the north.
Yeah,
Pathetic.
oh, it was really easy for me to get there. Grow up. Grow up,
Yeah,
mate. Yeah.
jeez.
Can't all have gravy for everything, can we? You
Right,
know.
move on. That's enough space wasted on that person.
It looked pretty bleak, but it didn't rain, and I think everyone took their big coats. So that's my thoughts on the
It did
Stockport
look
away
bleak.
terrace. To be honest,
Yeah, yeah.
it's Stockport, isn't it? It's not. It's not like you're going to go there for a suntan.
No,
So
no.
it's what it is. Is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Um, Bobbins is back to writing for us. I think we said that a few times, but he's made some cracking points of late, which is a departure from the norm for him. Really, we may be seeing signs of green shoots in the form of Jack Marriott. Who else needs to step up for those green shoots to be truly flourishing? Too long didn't read. Who needs to do better?
Apparently,
Wow.
I dislike Maddie Jacob is something I've learned in the last
Yeah,
week.
please, can you stop the hate?
Yeah, I didn't know
You
this.
gave him a five.
I guess
Like
I've
it's
done
not
this in the
really.
ratings a few times. I'm going to make my PSA that I make 2 to 3 times a season. A 5 out of 10 is not a bad result, a grade in my opinion in the
It's fifty
ratings.
percent.
Right, I need to make that very, very clear. When I give a player a 5 out of 10, what I mean is did not harm the team in any way. I mean they didn't do anything exceptional at any point. They didn't harm the team in any way. If I give you a 6, it means that you did something. You are a net positive in this game, basically. But like a 5 out of 10 is like you just go out there and but it's a bit of the Liam Fraser performances so far. Like nothing awful, but like nothing crazy exciting. I guess it's not a bad score. It's just an average score. That's all. Matty Jacob apparently needs to step up more.
But the
Yeah,
thing is, if you get given 50% of a pie, that's half the pie, isn't it?
yeah, and you'd be quite
Do you know what I
happy,
mean?
and then you can eat
That's
twice as much.
exactly. So I think people need to just think about what 5 out of 10 means. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but anyway, other players that need to step up. I think it's really tough because as we spoke about a few or last week, I think the midfield right now has structural issues that make it very easy to play through. So I was just looking at Charlie Savage's defensive or his like player traits chart this year. He's way down on defensive contributions. He's like in the bottom 25% in the league in his position for defensive contributions. And I
Mm.
think that that's not that he has gotten worse. Because I don't think that's the case. I think that Charlie Savage has gotten better in the last year. He dives into challenges far less frequently. He's much better about picking his moments to go like all over the field and challenge for it. And I think that he has been Reading's second best midfielder this year. I think that Wing is always Reading's best midfielder, but Savage has been pretty good. But like it's very, very clear that something structurally is just not helping him out. Yeah, he's in the bottom 24% for defensive contributions, bottom 14% for aerial duels won, and he's bottom half for touches as well. And this is a player that a lot of the ball went through him last season. So I really do, like, I know I keep banging on it over and 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 over again, but I really do think it's structural. Right now, Savage is actively not quite playing as well as he was at points last season, and so yeah.
I think up until last night, Marco Mani would have been high on that list purely for the goal. He's a striker, he hasn't scored yet. Like, come on. But, hopefully we can see a new, different version 2 of Marco Mani from this point moving forward. It's an awkward one, isn't it? Because when you say it needs to do better, like that almost implies that there's a lack of like an attitude problem, or they're not giving enough to the team, or they're not trying, or they're not. I can't think of the word off the top of my head. It's there.
They're not giving the effort.
They're not giving enough effort. Right?
There you
I don't know
go.
why I couldn't just think of that. Frightening. But I don't think we've seen the best of a lot of those players. So we talked about Lane and Doyle in the recap. I don't think we've seen the best of them, to be honest with you. Yeah, okay, Lane scored a goal, but that there are so many players in the team that are disjointed. I still don't really know long term what Dan Kay brings to the team, to be honest.
I like him. I like Daniel Kay, but only because I think that he's just working nicely with the very limited structure that we have right now. I think that out of possession he can be a little bit of a passenger, but I quite like Daniel Chirwa. I think that was a quite impressive pickup from the third Bundesliga.
I think the other thing that I would question is, have we seen the best of Finley Burns? Man City, product. Has he done as well as he could do? Probably not. But that will come from the instability of having that or that lack of central defensive pairing. It's dropped and changed so much. We had him and Dorset together, which I don't think has happened previously. I'm probably wrong on that one, but I don't think that's been a regular thing at all. So I think there are a number of players really that we've not seen the best of. It's a really, really good question, and this is kind of our issue with it, really, in terms of Noel trying to get the best out of these players. I just don't think he's done that yet.
I don't think he's doing that at all. And I agree. No. And I think that, like, the problem right now, as we've been talking about earlier, is like when I start to think about who has done well this year, it is the older players. And the club for the last couple of years has basically had a semi-successful time on the pitch through getting more out of its players than you may have expected. You may disagree with that. You may think that Sam Smith and Harvey Nibbs are incredible players that are destined to stay in the Championship forever now, and they'll never come back down. I think Sam Smith's got 2 to 3 seasons in the Championship in him, maybe, and then he's a high-end League One striker. After that, I think him and Marriott kind of remind me of each other in many different ways, actually. I think with Marriott,
they've swapped roles, haven't they?
Marriott feels a bit like Carey went out and just bought Sam Smith's exact same profile in terms of, like, he likes to run the channels. He's a problem for the defenders. He's stronger than he looks, despite his size. So I think right now the issue is that we're not taking those players, who are not the top players on the team. We're not taking them with us like we were in previous years. We're not improving everybody. We're not making a really good League One player out of a Michael Craig, or something like that. Again, I just come down to, and I'll ask the fans or the podcast as much as you, which young player at Reading has gotten better under Noel Hunt? Is there one? And I don't think there is one. So
Ryan Jeffries, maybe.
That's true. He's gotten things are definitely looking up for him under Noel. So we'll leave that to him. Yeah.
Right, Mark. For me, right now, all expectations have gone out the window. I just want to watch one game where we play well from start to finish and fully deserve to win. I'd even take a loss or a draw if afterwards I think, how the F did we not win? Yeah, I mean, that leads into the next statement, I guess, from Chris. Thanks for chipping in, Chris. Appreciate it. I get the sense Ben is of a similar opinion to me. Even if we're scraping results, it's all just very dull. Football is meant to be entertaining, and under this management team is the opposite of why we all love football. I'm just fed up and bored.
There are things this is bang on.
Yeah,
There
I
are
agree.
things. I'm just looking at the Opta table for everything right now. There are teams who are down there, who are clearly having like struggles, such as Wickham, and Port Vale, who are not playing particularly well and are down, or have not had good results and are down, like lower down in the table. But at least they have good underlying numbers. Wickham are in the top 10 for underlying numbers. Port Vale on underlying numbers on XG difference are the fourth best team in the league right now. They are just getting absolutely lit up by like screamers, and we had a screamer against them too to win, if you remember. Do you want to guess where Reading are on the expected table? Knowing that Reading are 19th, so they're 19th. Where do you think Reading are in the expected table?
Expected for what? Goals,
Like
points?
it just where so this is basically they formulate it, yeah, based on like expected goals and like where that like based on like how the teams played in the game, where should they be? How many points should they have? Should I just tell you? Reading are 19th, but on expected, on underlying numbers, they're 23rd. So they are
Right.
actually currently doing better than the way in which they've been playing
That
implies, which is
that
damning.
that well, I mean, you look at Bolton, a prime example of that. You look at Stockport, there's 2 points already that we probably wouldn't have.
Hmm.
Um,
Port Vale, I
yeah,
don't think we get those. I don't think we get those
no,
three
I don't.
without
I
that
think, I
that
think you're
Paddy
right as well.
Lanes,
That's 5
hit.
points.
Yeah, and
That
then
4 points
the
hit.
there's the in the Wickham one, there's the Marriott thing where the goalkeeper had a conniption and just did something really odd. Like
Yeah.
it's not sustainable. Like that's the main issue right now. It's not sustainable.
I mean, the thing about the expectations, from my point of view, I just brought into the whole takeover thing and a brand new start, and I just thought it was like upward curve, from here on in, and that's not been the case. And I think I have to temper that with how I felt when we got taken over and what I felt, because I was going into that Lincoln game, I was absolutely buzzing. I was like, brand new season, new
Yeah.
era, everything that's going to be fantastic. And it was a really poor performance against Lincoln. You're thinking, okay, well, maybe this is just, maybe we're just one of those teams that haven't started well and blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of just carried on. And there is, going back to Chris's point, bored and fed up. Like there were times generally last night, and I know as a different team in the first half where I had very little to say. Like there
Hmm.
was nothing to literally comment on,
Hmm.
and Phil even said these games are tough, but I just feel like the way we've been playing and the way that we are, potentially limiting the players' creative ability in our games and the confidence that isn't there is a massive problem for us at the
Hmm.
moment. I really
Hmm.
do.
Yeah,
You know.
no, I completely agree. I completely agree. I think that unless, one of our players steps up and does something exceptional that was not taught to them or like was not coached to them within the last like month or so, then that's when we win games or something
Yeah.
weird happens because it's League One and we have better players than, like a lot of other. I just don't subscribe to this idea that our squad has gotten so much worse. Like I think that yes, we've lost some important players, but overall our squad has gotten better, not worse. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, look, it's unfortunate. Like it's really unfortunate. But like if I was Nolan, I wanted to keep my job, I would be throwing caution to the wind and showing that I can actually put an attack together right now because it's been, a long time. It's been over a season of games that he's had whereby he has
Mm.
now put together an average under one expected goal a game. That's terrible. Like that's
Yeah, it's
awful.
not good. It's not
And
good.
I understand that, like, like that wouldn't be a problem, if the defensive things weren't going the other way, but they are now going the other way too. Like, we're
Mm.
consistently conceding more shots and things like that than we were last season. And just there's been so much time. If I was no, I would show that I can throw some caution to the wind and actually teach a team how to attack. Because if he can't teach the team how to score 3 goals in a game consistently, he is not the manager that is going to take us up. That's just how maths works. Like it's not going to happen. We're not going
Yeah.
like the weird thing like where like we had that stam season where we boringly 1-0'd our way to a playoff spot and then got found out in the playoff final. Like it's just not really something that happens in football anymore. So yeah, it's not encouraging at the moment, and I'd like to see the team show that they know how to attack.
What you're saying is you want every single Reading game to end with us scoring at least 3 goals.
I want Reading to be able to score with the players that we have. Reading should be able to
Yeah,
score 3 goals
yeah, I
a
agree.
game,
I agree.
like once a month minimum. Minimum.
Yeah,
Like we have the best long ball striker in the league. We have in Marriott a striker who can clearly score. We have in Paddy Lane a guy who has scored a lot of goals in League One before.
yeah.
Like there is no reason these guys should not be scoring. You have Charlie Savage, one of the most like I was talking some shit about him earlier, I guess, but like here's some like one of the best chance creating left center mids in the league.
Yeah,
Like he
100%.
is well ahead of most center mids in his league for creating chances. You only have to go look at his player trait chart for that. There is no reason this team can't score goals other than the manager.
Mm. And it's interesting because he was a striker.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what we doing?
So yeah.
Um, okay, you got some emails, haven't you?
I do have some emails. Thank you
Bloody love an
to
email.
I
Bloody love an email on this codcast.
bloody love an email on this. Well, we'll go to Alex Lovell first then because he's called it a
Sick one.
codcast.
I think he did the match report last night, to be fair.
He is good. I do like his writing.
He's a good egg.
Good egg, yeah. I apologize in advance to Ben, but so this is going to go well. But is Charlie Savage burned out? He seems tired and unable to affect the game in an attacking sense as well as he used to be able to. Does he need a Ben Elliott style rest at the end of the 23-24 season to come back a bit fresher? Oh, and then he says for a young footballer, he's played a serious amount of football in a short space of time lately, and he must be feeling it. What do you think?
No, I don't think he's tired at all. I think he's frustrated. I think he plays like he's frustrated. I honestly think him and Wing had a much better game, and he was pivotal in the goal. Like he was able to pick up that ball from deep, knock it down from downtown to Richie, and off we go. Like he needs to be able to do that more. But I said this a couple of weeks ago in terms of the direction that he needs to go in. I feel like he's constantly having to coach the players on the pitch because they don't really know what they're doing. And that's hindering him a little bit. Like he just needs to be able to play the game that he was able to play last year, and he's not been able to do that. I don't think he's tired. I get the point, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's tired. I think he's just frustrated, and I could be wrong. I could be well off the mark, but he
I
just
think
looks like he's playing frustrated at the moment.
so I'll give you another take on that. I'm not sure if it's for I think he is tired, but I don't think it's from like him being tired because of his physical shape, whatever. I think this system in inverted commas asks too much from its eights. And that has been a consistent issue and part of why I've wanted to see the team move away from the current system that they're using. I think that his defensive contributions are down, which part might be what Alex is referring to. And I think that also his opportunities to shoot are down, which may also be what Alex is referring to in terms of him not arriving at the edge of the box. And I would like to see Charlie Savage able to arrive at the edge of the box more often rather than, I do like him out in that wide space and he is good at delivering that diagonal, to the right wing. But he scored a bunch of goals for us last season, and he's almost as dangerous as wing, out on the outside of the box, and we haven't been able to get him there consistently because he's being asked to do too much defensively. Teams are aware that they can just pass the ball around Reading out wide, and that will drag their center mids way, way, way out of position. So I kind of see where Alex is coming from, but I don't think it's a Charlie Savage thing. Again, I'm just going to blame absolutely everything on the manager this week because that's how I feel. Apparently, here's one from Jamie Westcar. um, Another email. Thank you, Jamie. Every time Matt Ritchie enters the field, it feels like the teacher has come back in the classroom. Even those on the other side of the pitch seem to sort their act out. Yeah, I think we agree, right?
Yeah, he has to start on Saturday. Simple as that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm fully down with that now. I know there's all of this like starters and finishers nonsense going around in football now. I get that. I totally understand that. I think that's more of a tournament thing personally, but I totally understand, why people talk about that. But no, like get Richie on the field early on. Like we need him to orchestrate our attack, basically. Honestly, do you know what? Give Matt Ritchie the coaching job. He clearly knows what he should be doing.
Well, look, I mean, he got rave reviews for the for the last time game when was it the last time game where he was talking really well after the game, and a lot of people said, look, he talks better than a manager. I
Hmm.
thought it was a bit harsh to be honest, but like he has to play.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he has to play consistently, and he can do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed him just for the sake of it. It was a long running saga in the summer to get him into the club. But actually, when you look at his contributions already, he's done incredibly well, and he's had what 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Just let him play a game. Just
Hmm.
we're at home. We'll talk about it in the preview in a minute, but it's a game that we have to win, quite frankly, given the
Yeah.
congestion down the bottom of the table and where we are points wise. So let him affect the game, give him an opportunity to do that, and I don't think we'll regret that.
I think it's quite clear with Richie that even though he is now older and his body can't move in the way that maybe he used to, he is clearly of higher football intelligence than the vast majority of players around him. I think that's part of it too. Like he looks like an old Premier League player. I don't really know how to describe it other than that. He looks like he plays like a man who's played a lot of Premier League football. So yeah. All right, last one. But it's a big one. So we'll do this as our last one. Alan Bykowski. He's the one out in
Hey, Alan's back. Yeah, Alan's
Alan's
back.
back. Yeah, yeah. Alan's in Milwaukee.
Alan's
Uh,
back ski.
Alan's back ski. Hey guys, love the pod. Thanks for helping me stay up to date on all things Reading when I'm only able to watch a handful of games in the States. Been thinking a lot about Hunt, and I really think his future should come down to best case outcomes, that's why I liked this email. Best case outcomes. Is it fair that he's been without Porty and now Derek Williams this year? Maybe not, but if they come back and we have a strong spine of a defense, currently allowing 1.56 goals per game, sixth worst in the league, isn't the best case scenario still a good defense without enough offense to earn points? Something we've been talking about. We have nearly a full season of data to show us that Noah Hunt hasn't been able to put together an offense that can consistently threaten the goal. In our 11-game unbeaten run last year, we still mustered 3 goals only once. In 38 league games in charge, we've scored 0 to 2 goals 34 times. 9 matches ended in 0-0 or 1-1 draws, where an extra goal could have resulted in points that could have changed the playoff race last season. We know Hunt can piece together a good defense. Maybe that happens with Porty and Derek back, but while that may allow Hunt to scrap a few more draws that keep us out of the relegation zone, is it going to get us the goals that actually deliver wins and enough points to challenge for playoffs or promotion? So last thing he says, I'm grateful for Noel steering the ship last year when we needed someone to keep our heads above water amidst constant off-pitch disasters. But if this new administration is going to push us back up to the championship and possibly beyond, I can't see it happening with Hunt in charge. He just doesn't have the tactical acumen going forward to generate a consistent threat, and we're seeing that on a weekly basis for at least one half of every game. After this week, we have an international break coming up. Feels like the perfect time to bring someone in who could turn what looks like some promising offensive pieces into consistent offensive production. Remember, age is no barrier to being a hooly hoop. An old school Tilehurst end throwback there from Alan to finish up. I swear I read this from Alan and it didn't just come from me, because now it sounds like, that I've just been reading Alan's thoughts out for the last 40 minutes. But
So, what was the question?
I don't know. I guess there isn't really one in there. I'm just reading out his, like another opinion on Noel, because I think that a few weeks ago we read out that email too that was, kind of thinking that more positive about Noel basically, and that's great. So, yeah, I think more of what we've been
I,
saying.
I don't think you can blame, the instability in the defense for what is essentially an underperforming attack. That
Hmm.
that's my view on it, and I think that's the point that Alan's making. The point I really like about that is if they're serious about moving us up and making us a what did he say, world.
Championship or perhaps beyond.
No, sorry. When
Perhaps.
when Rob came in, he wanted to make us like a world force or world
Oh, yes.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He wants us to be
It
international.
Yeah, it is. We're not going to do that with no one, and we've said time again there is nothing more that we would like than to A, be wrong, and B, be in a situation where Noel can really turn us around and show that he can do it. But I keep going back to that feeling I have that they're not, the owners are not going to be satisfied until they have their own man in. And
Mm,
it's like inheriting. You look today, they've got rid of Fanatics. Fanatics are gone, and it's all in house again now, which I think is a positive. I don't think that the club shop was in a great state before Fanatics took it over. I don't. I must be in the minority, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent a bit, but I'll come back round. Like Fanatics for me were okay. I didn't really see the issue with them, but the point is that they're doing things the way that they want to do them, and I think part of that really is the way in which the manager is the figurehead for the club, and he is a nice guy. Club. So, or Ross is a nice guy anyway,
The
and
la
I
the
just feel like he's not gonna elevate anything. He's been given the resources, people, time, players, blah blah blah. But as Ross said earlier on in the pod, he's had what 48 games or something, 49 games, and we don't know as fans what the method or the style is, regardless of the players and the personnel he has.
Well, and then the results are, as we said, with the
Yeah,
expected table, a team that should be in 23rd place. So at the end of the day, that is what we've got. Um, yeah, I guess the other question there in Alan's, and maybe we can put this into the preview now, is if, we lose to Mansfield or if we don't win against Mansfield, do we replace Noel during the international break? I suppose we can come to that. So yeah, shall we head on into the preview?
yeah. I just didn't say anything, so I got nothing to say, and I thought you
Yeah.
might like to do a segue for once.
I never segue until now. Wonderful. Welcome back to the Tilehurst podcast. Episode, what is it, 433? I don't
Yeah,
even
that was
know.
absolutely shocking. Just don't bother next time.
Is it actually episode 433 when we're playing
Yeah,
in this blinking 433 and we won't ever stop doing it? That's
no,
excellent. Love that.
it's good,
Anyway,
isn't it?
yeah, good
It's
that.
it's it's synergy.
Yeah, we've got some more I guess we've got
Don't know
some
what to do.
more formation podcasts coming out in the next. So what will come first, episode 442 or Reading moving into a 442?
Ooh, well, I mean, what I should be able to answer. I
Great
can't. It's
question,
just
isn't
literally
it?
gone out of my head. It's a great
Nine.
question. Episode 442 will come first. We're not.
Okay. Okay.
If he's already tinkered with it to be 4-2-3-1.
What's the show? It was an old or maybe a TV film that was the guy from the royal family saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, England will play 4-4 effing 2." I can't remember
Oh,
what
Mike
that's.
Bassett. Mike
Yeah,
Bassett.
Mark Bassett, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. I've been using that GIF for that video more
It's a
than
good film. That
I've
it's a really
ever
good film.
used that in the last in the last couple of months.
So right. Are we going to do this bloody preview then, or
Yeah,
what?
let's do it. Let's do it. I'm
Yeah.
done segueing.
It's a terrible segue. Right, so Mansfield Town FC, 12th in Football League One. Literally just typed into Google. I knew that anyway. We host the Stags. Imagine if it was your stag do and you're watching the Stags play. That'd be
Pretty good,
cool.
wouldn't it? Pretty
Love
good.
sick.
If you want to know something funny, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. All right. So I've been talking about this expected chart today and where teams should be after this many games and everything. Mansfield are about exactly where they should be. That is how well they have played. Basically,
Mm,
they have played about as mid-table football as you could ask for so far. And wouldn't that be nice for us?
it would.
Mm.
Last few games then. So drew 1-1 with Stevenage. Lost to beat Rotherham 2-1 in the last league game out. That was on Saturday. They travelled to Reading in reasonable form. As Ross said, they're exactly where they need to be. I think, based on what I've seen of the other teams, I think they will probably end up there this season. I don't think they will be involved in a relegation scrap. They might get drawn in a bit, but they've had a pretty healthy start. 14 points from the 10 games they've played. It's very, very congested in the league, though. You've got Peterborough at the bottom on 7. We are, all the way up, dare I say, eyes rolling, at 19th on 9 points. And then Mansfield, as I said, 12th with 14. A win would look to put us as high as 14, and we could really build a platform from there. So it is an absolute, must win. Keep saying
I
that a
I
lot.
mean, yeah, it's worrying how often we're having to say that this early in the season, isn't it?
It's a game that we should win. We,
Hmm.
we need to be winning this football match, really. Do you expect changes from the team that played against Stockport? I'm going to completely gloss over the West Ham lineup because it's kind of fairly exceptional.
Mhm.
You, yeah, do you think there'll be changes?
Yeah, I do because I think that we have to play better than we started. Against Stockport. I do think that the second half was a little bit better, but again, I think that we have to come out the traps, and actually play in the first half as well. Like that, the first half is a valid game of football as well as the second. So. The thing that worries me about Mansfield is that they're leaky, but they don't score a ton of goals, and that doesn't necessarily make me happy as a Reading fan because Reading can't score many goals.
Four
So
two three one formation there, Ross.
well, I no idea how that's working for them, but they're conceding a decent amount of goals, in the same way that Reading. So, maybe we can get at them like that. I think that it's unlikely that this one is a 0-0. I've guaranteed it now that I've said it. But I mean, right, really, like with the resources of the clubs, again, like this is just somewhere where if this is the kind of game that we should be winning. I don't know if it's a must win. Because I don't really know what that means anymore. But yeah, like this is the kind of game that feels like we should be winning, right? For sure. And so regardless of their uptick in form, for sure they beat Rotherham, but Rotherham have been really bad as well. So I think that Reading, I mean, we if they pick up another win, kind of like the Port Vale one, or the Leyton Orient one, then I don't know if that's going to be. I mean, like that'll keep Nolan in his job certainly through the international break, but we want performances and results at this point, don't we? Right? I think we think that the squad is good enough to produce that, and that's what I'd like to see. I think it is again like at least 2 goals in this against a team that have been shipping a good amount of goals. And can we get to that magic number? Can we get to 3? Only hit 4 times in the entire No Hunt tenure.
Well, I mean, Rotherham have got 12 Rotherham. Mansfield Town have got 12 different goal scorers this season. 12.
Spreading the love around, just all of it, that's good. It's not all
High,
being scored by their midfielders.
highest, highest of that. They've got 3 players on two. Will Evans, Jamie McDonnell, and Regan Hendry. That's quite impressive for this. They've obviously it takes into account cup games as well, I'd imagine.
Mhm.
But to have 12 different players finding the net, that's quite. There can't be many other clubs with that many, surely.
I mean, this far into the season, certainly not. I mean, like 10, yeah, I mean, we're only 10 games in. So, yeah, it's quite impressive. It's quite impressive from Mansfield, I suppose. But I feel like that's the sign of a good team, that
Mm.
anyone can just like show up and score a goal for you wherever. But I don't know, maybe I'm talking out my arse there. In any case, regardless of whether I think we should or beat Mansfield, I'm like again, I think we really need to see something from Reading here. This is a team that are conceding a lot of goals. Reading need to be able to go and get at this team. They are scoring. They are certainly scoring more than Reading and generating more chances than Reading, who have been really poor in that department so far, producing less than 1 expected goal per game. But again, like this is a team with a pretty poor defense and a decent game plan is capable of beating Mansfield at home. Like I struggle to believe that this isn't a team that we should be able to beat.
Yeah, well, obviously promoted in at the end of the 23-24 season, and Nigel Clough managing them. Signed a new 2-year deal in the summer.
Mm.
Good manager, highly rated. It seems like he's been around for years,
I
Nigel
was going to
Clough.
say, I feel like Nigel Clough is just like a lower leagues journeyman at this point. I feel like the Derby years are the ones that I really remember. But other than that, I think he's settled in nicely, for the last however many years of his career. But yeah.
It's yeah, look, it's a game that we have to get something out of at the very least a draw, but really, I think those calls for a change will grow louder if we don't win the game.
Hmm.
Uh,
We need to perform well
as
as
I
well
heard
as
in
play
the
well.
County Cup.
I think that's the
Yeah,
simplest way to
exactly.
put it. Like we need now to perform well as play well, and that's not just like like scoring. I mean, scoring goals is great, but like creating chances consistently, that's something that we need to see. And if you look right now at like control graphs of like Reading versus the other teams on the field, Reading just aren't controlling anything but their own third, really, in terms, and even some of their own third, they're abdicating control.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's got to be a performance improvement as well as a result. We can't. I think we were looking at Clement in the Tilehurst group chat earlier this week and looking at his final 10 games or so. And there's these little
Yeah.
games in there where he keeps extending his time. Just every now and again with a decent draw, with a good win or something that's just like a 1-0 or 2-1 or something like that. And I feel like that's the cycle we're in right now with Hunt, whereby we're in that extending phase. So for me, I agree with Alan from the mailbag going way back, segueing way back, to say that if we can't get a much better performance against Mansfield, then I think it's time to make a change for the international break.
Yeah. Well, that will come up sooner rather than later. Games are coming thick and fast. Mansfield at home, MK Dons at home, and then a trip to Exeter. I
Yeah.
think that's the international break, isn't it? So providing that's not called off for whatever reason, there isn't
Yeah, I
a.
think maybe that is the international break. I'm not 100% sure. Regardless of when it comes, enjoy your
It is
last
the
October
international break.
international break, by the way. This is the last one. They are taking this one out from next year on. So from next year, instead of a September and an
Good.
October one, it's a September, like a double window in September where they do 3 weeks with 4 games basically instead. So yeah, enjoy
Mm.
your last October window when that comes around.
Well, it's England Wales as well on the 9th, isn't it? So
Oh,
big,
tasty,
big
spicy.
one. Spicy.
Spicy.
Yeah. Q&A with Rob tomorrow. Well, today. This will be out on Thursday morning for you guys. So Q&A at the stadium. I think tickets are still available for that. They are free. I am told that the bar will be open. It won't be a free bar, but there will be refreshments available to purchase. I was told that yesterday. So if that's not true, don't come slating me because I told you the wrong information. Yeah, look, it's all to play for. We need to see improvements. We're hoping for improvements and just a little bit of pizzazz in these performances to show that we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Ross, enjoy your coaching tonight. Thank you for joining me from I was going to say but it's not your room. It's the meditation room
The
where you work.
meditation room at my marketing agency, correct. Yes. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, good chat as always, Ben. I feel like I'm just moaning at the moment, which is a bit
No, we're not moaning.
but
Look, we've talked about
whatever.
loads of positive, cool stuff.
Yeah, that's what cod pasts are for anyway. It's fine. It's totally
Yeah.
fine.
And
So
it's one of those where it's like, you give an opinion and people instantly don't agree with it and you're negative. It's just nonsense.
yeah,
Absolute nonsense.
that's
So
football for
I
you.
was
Game of
positive last night on
opinions.
the comms when we scored.
Yeah, you were. You were very
Exactly
positive.
right.
Yeah. Anyway, good to see
Have
you.
a good latter part of your week, everybody. Ross, we will chat next week. We keep saying it. We're gonna try and make it consistent, so it's a day where everyone knows to expect the pod. But there's just so much football to talk about. We
You're
have to,
getting it on
squeeze
Thursday
it in
again
all.
next week. Don't worry. I'll tell you that much. So yeah.
So we do Wednesday next week. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is us deciding that right now on the show.
just done. I'll write that in my diary.
Nice.
Speak to Ross.
Get
Yeah.
that in the
Have a good
calendar.
week, everybody. I hope you enjoyed episode 433. We will join you, or you will join us next week for 434. Let's hope for a win this weekend. And come on, you Owls.